Life is messy and unpredictable.
Being able to find joy in the weeds of life is so important. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kim, and we are so glad you've joined us as we figure out how to hold joy in one hand and struggle in the other.
Welcome to Joy in the Weeds. Welcome
to season 3.
I cannot believe it's been 3 years. We're in our third season. I just can't believe it.
Yeah. That's something, isn't it?
What? I'm sorry.
That's something, isn't it?
Yeah. And we just got done taking a break. But we didn't release any podcasts this January.
Right.
But that is the first break we have taken in 2
Yep.
years. So
Yep.
I think that's incredible. That's remarkable.
We're the bomb. That's all there is to it. We're just that good.
The truth of the matter is the only reason is because we both enjoy it so much. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So when you're having fun, it doesn't feel like work or,
That's right.
I don't know about you, but today is a snow day and they've closed the office and nobody's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited to be doing this. So, it doesn't feel like work when you're It's just fun.
It feels like conversation. It feels like girlfriends is what it feels like.
Kind of.
Feels like what it is.
We want to talk about just a couple things. I want to talk about just a couple things real quick.
Go for it.
Obviously, if you are just hearing this, you don't know, but we are actually recording this and we will have video up on YouTube. So starting season 3, we will have video of all of these conversations. So if you are a very visual person, as am I, you can go and watch them. They will still be on all the regular podcast platforms. So if you're just in the car while you're driving kind of listener, that's fine too. Hopefully Kim and I a few times less this season will say, "Oh, I wish you could see Kim's face," because you get to see it now, so in all its glory. We're so excited. We bought some new mics and we got them custom colored, and I went with the very unique color of white. I tried. I looked at all the others.
I tell you, you need to bedazzle it. You need to have some bling on there.
Maybe. It's interesting when I got married, and this is all the way back in 89, and they, you're supposed to do your registry or whatever, and every single thing I put on my registry was white, and everyone thought I was crazy, and they were just like, white towels, white, why are you just doing white? So I've had a long time love with white and black. So
there you go. I recently was watching a clip on Instagram for this interior designer, and she said, I know many people think that white kitchens are boring. The thing with white kitchens is you can accent it with whatever color you want.
Yeah.
So you can actually make your kitchen look, you can change it all the time. It can be, red accents, and then it can be blue accents, and then it can be teal accents. So, so white's not boring.
That's part of it for me. I love to change up things. But in any event, here it is. I have a white car and I have a white microphone. And Kim, her microphone is her favorite color.
It's very
bright
exciting.
Yellow. Love it.
Love me my yellow.
So I hope that you check us out on YouTube. Just to let you know, we also now have a website up and going, and you can find everything on the website. It is joyintheweeds.org. So you can go there and check it out. I'm hoping, Kim, this is to you, but on that website, we can have blog posts as well. So
cool.
Both of us love to write, so I think we might add some of those on there. Maybe even specifically about some of the topics that we talk about.
That's a good idea.
But also because of the website now, we're going to be able to have all of the like when people make comments or that kind of thing, it's all going to be right there. And so we'll be able to better communicate with you. So please give us feedback. We love to hear from you.
We
so
sure do.
please, drop us a line. Let us know what you like and don't like, if you want certain topics or not. We would just love to hear about it. we are stay tuned. We'll let you know more specifics, but we also have these lovely little speakers that say, can you see that? That say joy in the weeds very faintly.
You sort of
And
see it.
anyway, it's just a tiny little speaker. So if you're stay tuned, we're going to give away some of those coming up. And anyway, a lot of exciting new things.
Yes.
So I'm super excited.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome. It's weird though to know that you're like that we're being recorded, that you can see. It's
Yeah.
a whole different thing. I mean, you have to
be careful how I move because I like to move a lot. I gotta be careful because people are
but
gonna
let's
see
be real.
everything.
We're not gonna be.
No, that's true.
It's just gonna be what we are.
Yeah.
I don't think Kim and I can fake anything.
No,
Even if we
that's the
try, it doesn't
truth.
work.
Good grief.
All right. Well, today's podcast is going
Mhm.
to be, we're going to talk for a moment about choices. And oh my word. So the reason this is even coming up as a topic, the
Uh-huh.
reason we chose this is because we had a moment on the very last podcast that went out. We were having a wonderful conversation with Matthew and Emily Schallenberger. And if you have not heard it, it's actually a two-part.
Yeah. It's
And it
really
came
good.
out during the holidays, so you may have been busy and not caught up with it. So if you didn't hear that, please go back and
Mhm.
listen to it.
Mhm.
Powerful, powerful conversation with Emily and Matthew. And Matthew is a pastor. We talked about all kinds of things, but primarily marriage, the marriage relationship. And at some point in this conversation, in the second one, Kim says something, and I got so uncomfortable, I can't even begin to tell you. And so I tried to I was pretty sure she didn't mean what she said.
I did. 100%. I meant it all the
So
way.
I know. And so I tried to clarify, and that didn't
Uh-huh.
work. And
Mhm.
I finally just decided, okay, this is not the time or the place. Kim and I'll deal with this later. And then we didn't have a chance because literally that happened, and then it was, holidays
Yeah.
and all that happened,
Yeah.
and, I ended up getting COVID,
Mhm.
and, I mean, there's been all kinds of things going on. And but anyway, I finally told Kim, "We need to talk about this," and we decided to do it here.
There
So,
there you go.
I have s don't get me wrong, we're not gonna argue about this. That's
Oh,
not what this
definitely
is
not. No, no,
about.
no,
In
no.
fact, it's one of those things where, it just initially when it first struck me, I was a little shaken by it, and then
Mhm.
the more I thought about it,
Mhm.
I I agree. It's still, really hard to
Is
hear,
it
and the
really is it
first
really hard?
after the yeah,
Huh,
and after the podcast came out, even then the first
interesting.
time I heard it, it's like, oh. So anyway.
So why don't we tell the people, and then I'm gonna ask you what makes it hard.
Okay, well, I wanna play the little
Okay.
the blip. Can I do that? I just have it on my phone, and I'm gonna
Go
stick it
right
up to
ahead.
the microphone. So this is not high tech, but anyway, hopefully it'll work. But this is, about halfway through, the conversation with Matthew and Emily, and Kim says this, makes a statement, and I just anyway, this is what I reacted to.
Point something out though. A lot of people, I'm a therapist, I'm a pastor's wife, and they're like, well, God can fix my marriage. No, God cannot fix your marriage. You are the ones who make your marriage. Now, living according to his principles, yes, but you can pray till the cows come home. Right. And if you are not the intentional, and if it's not a coming together, and it takes one person to ruin a marriage, it takes two to make it. Yep.
That's absolutely right.
Okay, wait a second. I just have to pause here because next comes awkward Beth trying to clarify.
I got a little
Well, when you're saying God, I want to clarify though, because when you're saying God doesn't fix a marriage, I mean,
You do it. It's free choice.
yes, but we do it. I think the only way to really do it well is with Him living and changing us and our heart.
But I think what I think
To then do it is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes, I agree with you. And I have worked with enough people who are not Christians who have really good marriages.
Well, yes, but
Okay.
Poor
Can
Beth.
you hear? Yeah, but
Poor Beth.
oh my word. You can go back and we won't play that whole podcast on this one, but
No, because
yeah. Go back and listen to it.
so let's start with your reaction in the moment. What were you experiencing? And just I know that me backing up and saying living according to God's principles will help your marriage was in response to your face. Like I know that was because yeah.
Probably. 'Cause we're not very good at not being expressive. Um yeah, so I don't think any of us ever like to say or to hear someone say God can't or God doesn't. Do you know like
Okay.
the idea that I can't remember your exact words now. We just listened to it, but I
Mhm.
think you said God can't fix your marriage.
Right.
So I don't I think that that God can't. Just that. Like it it just shut off my brain
Mhm.
from everything else because it makes me feel so incredibly uncomfortable to hear that. Um
What is that? What is that? What is the discomfort?
because we have been told all our
Okay.
lives God is
Okay.
in control. Um
Really? Sorry.
we do. But no,
We're
I
told
know
that. However, we're in control
we
to an extent.
but
Sorry.
there's a lot
I
of
just
people who
moved to pick something up off the floor.
all right, Kim. But the
Oh,
facts are
gosh.
there's a lot of people who still believe that, and it is
Right.
said every single
Yes.
day in
Yes.
Christian circles.
Yes.
Honestly, I probably even felt more uncomfortable knowing that there are a lot of people listening who would strongly disagree with what you said
Mhm.
and even
Mhm.
bristle at what you said.
Mhm.
So that makes me even more uncomfortable,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Thinking about what others are thinking about what you just said. So, in some ways, wanting to fix it so that everyone is comfortable. Anyway, so yeah, I think that concept, or even, just saying God can't,
Mhm.
makes us very uncomfortable. Now, I do the whole concept of whether or not God is in control and how that work, you talk about verses where, people will say, I mean, even when terrible things are going on in government, people say, well, God establishes and he is allowing
Right.
and God is in control, right? We hear that all the time. Therefore, we
Mhm.
just need to be kind. Um that really falls like that's not it's just not true. So I'm choking even saying this because I know what people are thinking, right? And I know how this is going to grate on people and people's theology in general, and how they deal with things. I think the first time there's a couple principles I wanna touch on here, the 2 things that I remembered. I knew before, right? But I remembered after I was noodling on
Mhm.
this very uncomfortable
Mhm.
situation you put me in, Kim Cove. Um,
You're welcome.
and that is number 1, our God is a God of love, therefore he does not force ever.
Yeah.
And so because he is love, because love is always based in people's choice.
Mhm.
Anytime you take away that choice, then it ceases to be love.
Mhm.
Uh and so though he's God from beginning, and he's the alpha and the omega and everything in between, and he can do anything, He can do anything, but he can't because it goes against his character.
Right. So let's just back up a little bit about the God is in control thing. Ultimately, if it's not an either or. See, we are so dualistic in our thinking as
Mm.
Westerners. It's either or, right or wrong. Whereas it's in this case, it's a both and. Is God in control? Ultimately, yes.
Mhm.
His purposes are going to manifest itself regardless of but that's big picture. God is in control. That's an overarching, sin is going to run its course and things are going to happen, and then Jesus is going to come and we're going to have a reestablished world where we're run by a government of love. That God is in control of. And what you were saying is God is not going to force us. Can God save me? Yeah, but only if I let him. So who's in control? Me or him?
Mhm. Right.
And there are Tim has preached many a sermon where God's hands are tied because of free will.
Yeah.
And people don't like that.
No, because it puts us in a place where we feel uncomfortable, number one.
Yeah.
But it makes it harder to grapple with the horrificnesses that happen to us. I'm sure that's not a word, but anyway, the challenging things that happen to us,
Well, and
or happen around us.
let's take that. So I've been listening to this podcast called Everything Happens, and it's Kate Bowler wrote this book, Everything Happens for a Reason, and other lies that we've been told.
Mhm, mhm,
Because everything happens for a reason is not scriptural.
mhm.
There is no reason for a child to be sexually molested.
No,
Never.
never.
So no wonder people when they think that God is terrible, like what kind of a God who is in control is going to let a 3-year-old be sexually abused?
Right.
What kind of God who is in control is going to let genocide take over whatever? I'm thinking about something. Was it Uganda when there was? I
Yeah.
don't. What?
Well, Hitler, I mean, that's a
Right.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. What kind of a
Yeah.
God is going to let us Americans and Canadians and whatever destroy the Japanese with an atomic bomb?
Mhm.
So
Right.
this everything happens for a reason. Now, what does Scripture say? Sorry, I'm preaching now.
Go for it. I love this because you're getting ready to get into some of my favorite verses.
Right. Scripture says all things work together for good, for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose.
Right.
So all that happens to us,
Right.
either through our choices or somebody else's choices, God can take and make something from it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is one part of when you asked what made me feel uncomfortable. That one. But then the other thing that I remembered that has helped me so much in this, and this is where I want us to kind of start going and talking more about choices, is one of my former pastor, Ryan Ashlock, at some point said that there are laws that God has established in the universe that um, are true for
Mhm.
everyone, whether or not they believe in him as their God.
Mhm.
For instance,
Mhm.
gravity
Mhm.
is a law that God established that, you know, it doesn't matter if you believe in him or not. If you jump off a cliff, you're going down.
Mhm.
Maybe that's not a good example, but whatever. And so then your comment, I think I let it play long enough, right? Where you
Mm.
even said, like, you've known enough people that are atheists that have
Mhm.
good marriages.
Mhm.
And so in remembering that, I started thinking about it. I thought, well, yeah, and then there are other things too, like the laws of health and laws,
Mhm.
there are other like I think one of the examples that Ryan used in his sermon was that kindness,
Mhm.
being kind to one another
Mhm.
brings us joy. Like,
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not, if you are extending kindness to people, it brings you joy.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, what helped me quit feeling so weird about this was that idea that we make choices, and an
Mhm.
atheist can eat well and abide
Mhm.
by the health
Mhm.
laws and
Mhm.
be fit and healthy,
Mhm.
and because those laws God may have established, but they just are.
Mhm.
And I think the reason this is so vitally important, and where I 100% agreed with you, this is why I was having such a hard time. And I finally just like, Beth, just be quiet, deal with this later when you can get your head around it, is that we do make choices every day. And to
Mhm.
just ignore, especially in our relationships and our marriage relationship and other relationships, to just say, I'm just going to pray about it.
Mhm.
God asks us to do a lot more than just pray about something.
Mhm.
And and if we are unwilling to do the things that he's asked us to do, or just to do the things that you know, are what bring health into a relationship, then you're not going to have a good relationship.
Right. Right. And whether it's relationship what I was thinking while you were talking, which isn't very nice, I should be listening while you're talking.
It's okay.
What I was what I was thinking while you were talking is not only do I know enough, um, non-Christians who have I know non-Christians who are so emotionally healthier than many Christians that I know. I know a whole lot of Christian marriages that are awful, a whole lot. So, there has to be something else going on that which is those principles.
Mhm. Yeah, and, I mean, honestly, though, isn't it then that to just say, "I'm going to pray about something," or "I'm just going," that my husband's here in the house moving around, if you're hearing that. Um, but that if we're just gonna pray about something, um, like, really, that's, like, a cop out, right?
In a
Yeah.
sense, y in a sense, yes. Um, yeah, sometimes what we do as Christians is expect I don't wanna say that God doesn't do things. Like, I don't wanna um, sometimes yeah, but then we're getting it all into the whole but prayer is a whole other thing, that I struggle with. Um, so I'm thinking about all the people I am actually thinking of all our listeners who are gonna say who are thinking in their heads, "But wait, prayer is so powerful, we need to pray. Da 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 da." Yes, yes, yes,
Well,
yes,
here you
yes.
go, I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Prayer is not powerful. There is no power in prayer. And I'm the prayer ministries director. And here, let me clarify. I
Okay.
know, I'm fired tomorrow.
Okay.
Um, I see prayer as being like power cord.
Right.
There's no power in this cord in and of itself.
Right.
The cord has to be connected.
Right.
And the problem is when we talk about power in prayer,
Yes.
we're making it about the act and not the person that we are praying to.
Oh, that's good. Say that again.
So when we talk about there being power in prayer, then we're talking about the act of praying being powerful and not and can I say then it
Mm.
makes it also more about what we are doing, and we start
Mhm.
talking about more effective ways of praying and
Mhm.
praying and so it comes down to if we are doing things correctly,
Mhm.
then
Then
we're going to get a better outcome.
yeah, God's gonna do what we ask, which uh-huh.
But we're just going to get a better outcome. We really believe that. Why would we say, if more effective prayer, which we talk about that all the time. There's whole seminars,
Oh, yeah,
books
I
that have
know.
been written
Yeah.
about this. And I just fundamentally I think there's a problem because that is that is making the prayer powerful, not putting the focus on the person who is powerful.
Mhm. Mhm. Because because an effective prayer is going to make a stronger connection between you and God. And a stronger connection between you and God is going to change you.
Yeah, it's just a relationship. And prayer is very simply the communication in the relationship.
Yes.
It's having a conversation. We overcomplicate it over whatever
Yeah,
the whole thing.
we really do. We really
Prayer
do,
is just having a conversation with God himself,
which
which
is
is
amazing.
so crazy to think about.
So then, I know we're supposed to be talking about choices, but so then why do we make it a tool for getting what we want?
Because we're so I really believe it comes down to because if you it comes down to us needing a way to explain the things that are unexplainable. Because I think if you ask any Christian about, you know, that and you talk about it being things that they want, I think they would probably argue with us and say, "Oh no, it's not that I want things. It's not that. I want, I just want to learn. I want to be more like him. I want to be surrendered to him and all of that." But we definitely like to be able to say that if we do things if we pray right.
Mhm. Mhm. Because the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. James something. Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Huh.
But availeth much, like,
What does that even mean?
I say that I see that as so different. The prayer of the righteous availeth much. In when I hear that, what I think is, it
Yeah.
it enriches, that's the right word, enriches the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes the relationship sweet
Yeah.
and the relationship deep. It's just like when Chris and I have the opportunity, we've had a snow day and we had some extra time this weekend just to spend time together. And when you get to just be in each other's presence and snuggle up on the couch and talk and ask each other questions and better understand each other and who you are, the relationship's not the same
Mhm.
after that. It's richer, it's better, it's it's yeah, it's more. That's what I see is that pass it, we're gonna you gain a richness from having that relationship and having that communication.
Mm,
But that's all that prayer is the communication. Any power that comes from that is just the power that he is.
mhm. So let's back up then
Back
to
to choices.
right, because what you were saying was if we're just praying, which sounds like we're minimizing prayer, and that's not what we're
No,
doing.
no.
No, that would be like minimizing a communication between a husband and wife or between a parent and child, like friends. We don't minimize that. That's important.
Mhm.
Um, Praying without action is what? Like if go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I hate to just bring it always back to the marriage relationship because I mean that's not there are people that are listening that are not married. So
Right, right.
I wish I could come up with a different example, but a couple, okay, so he's praying, she's praying, their marriage is a disaster. There's lots of conflict, and they're both praying for the marriage to be changed, which is highly possible. And that's all they're doing.
Mhm.
They're praying for the
Yeah, so
relationship.
let's take it outside of the relationship.
Okay.
Um, I can pray all day long that I'm gonna pass a test,
Right.
but if I don't take the time to study and read and do the work and, digest the information, uh, I'm not gonna pass the test.
Right.
If I want to, lose weight, I can pray all day long sitting on the couch eating and it not happen.
Right. And you can pray and do all the right things and it still not happen.
Well, yeah. But there is in some things that's true.
Well,
There's no
because
question.
I'm thinking of my cholesterol. I have high cholesterol, which I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which makes no sense. I am vegan pretty much. I
Mhm.
might have a piece of fish if I go out to eat. We don't put oil. I do not cook with oil. The only oil I ever use is a little bit of margarine on my toast.
Mm.
I weigh
Nothing.
I weigh 108 pounds and I'm 5'4". I'm not. I don't want to shame anybody. That's not the point. The point is
Mhm.
my weight is where it needs to be. It's probably lower than
Mhm.
average. I eat well.
Mhm.
I exercise. I have a good. I have a good relationship with my children, with my husband, with my church. So I'm doing all the right things.
Mhm.
I still have high cholesterol.
Mhm.
The next thing I've just done for my diet is I've taken
Obviously
out a
you're
bunch of sugar. With not a bunch of sugar,
obviously obviously you're not praying enough. I'm sorry.
obviously.
No, I yeah, absolutely, that can happen. I don't mean that, if you work hard enough, everything will always
Right,
work out.
right,
You can back to the marriage relationship, you can work really hard
right.
and it still fall apart. So,
And
I I I do think that we have to, um, you know, acknowledge that. That's for sure. Because
do
there's a lot of people out there that are working really hard, praying really hard,
mhm,
and it's not happening. And people around them are just looking at them and saying, "Well, you obviously need to pray more,"
mm,
or, you know.
mhm. Isn't it messy? Do you
Yeah,
see how messy life is?
yeah,
Where we can't just think so dualistically.
right. Yeah. So, can you hear that noise?
I don't hear any noise.
Okay,
Do you hear
good.
noise?
No, there's something I don't know what my husband is doing, but
We don't hear it. I don't hear it.
okay, good, because it's an awful sound. I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's very distracting. We had another podcast like this, and I
Sorry.
kept being so
Oh,
distracted
yeah,
by
because of
the
the guy
sound,
was
and then you couldn't
yeah.
even hear it on the
He was
recording.
mowing the lawn outside, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. Um, yeah, so I wanted us though to start about this season talking about choices.
Mhm.
And I think the reason is because um for in both relationships and in uh thing choices of health, it's a new year, we're starting a new thing. This is a new
Mhm,
season, so
mhm,
you all will not be hearing this until February.
mhm,
But with all the new things that are going, it is a new beginning for us. And so we're going to talk about it as a new beginning. But often when you have things, when you have new beginnings, we talk about choices and we talk about things you can do and things. And I just think as Christians, unfortunately, too many times we talk about things from a very heady perspective or a
mhm,
very spiritualized
mhm,
perspective and not a
mhm,
practical perspective.
mhm,
And a
100%.
lot of and a lot of times we like to sit around and pontificate. Is that the right
That's a
word?
beautiful word. I was
And
thinking wax eloquent, but both sound marvelous.
but we do that, and maybe what is so desperately needed is that we just start doing.
Yes. Yes. Just start doing.
Loving our neighbors. Stop talking about loving our neighbors. May we need to do something to love our
Mhm,
neighbors.
mhm, mhm,
Um, Stop talking about, whatever it is. You're in your marriage relationship, in your, whatever.
mhm,
Start doing something.
mhm. Yeah, there was a quote I read, Ryan Hodgins, put an Ellen White quote, and I don't know all the details. I can't remember all the details, but it was about evangelism
Mm,
and ministry, and it said that, like, very little of ministry is, the pastor. The pastor's job is to express the theological points of the gospel,
right?
and it's up to the members to be living out the gospel. And and if they're not living out the gospel, Ellen White actually says perhaps they're not converted.
Yeah, I have the quote here. Can I read it?
Oh, yes, please. Oh, good. You
Yeah.
you saw it.
The quote is from Testimonies for the Church,
Yes,
volume 7, page
that's it.
16. And it said, "The world will be convinced,
Right.
not by what the pulpit teaches, but by what the church lives. The minister in the desk announces the theory of the gospel. The practical piety of the church demonstrates its power."
Do you know what I really love about that?
Yes,
Is
go
that
ahead.
it couples in my head, I'm connecting gospel and piety.
All right. For those who don't know, explain piety.
What I
What do you
think of, what comes to my mind with piety is this, straight-laced, stiffer upper lip, I live by all the rules. That's what I think of when I think piety.
Okay.
Um, and so when I hear what you just read, piety is linked with living the gospel
Mhm.
out in day-to-day life. And the gospel is what? Jesus saves. The gospel is Jesus walking through a town and leaving the town, and there are no sick people.
Yeah.
The gospel is this woman comes out of her only son, her only means of support is dead on a slab. She
Mm.
didn't even ask. And Jesus stopped the whole funeral procession and raised this young man, I'm assuming he was young, back to life and tells the mother, "Don't be sad." That's the gospel.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to be living. That's piety. Piety is not what I think it is or what I think it looks like. Piety is messy. Piety is getting down in the dirt. Heather Thompson Day wrote recently on Instagram. There's 3 times God got in the dirt. To create man, to write in the dust, and I can't remember what the third one was, but those were the 2 that impacted me.
Yeah.
That's piety. Piety is getting dirty.
I love that quote, also because where it says, "But what that the world will be
Be
convinced
convinced.
by what the church lives." I just I don't know that I feel like in the last couple years that that's been the the,
Mhm.
the overwhelming experience of the world,
Yeah.
seeing the church.
Yeah.
And I just I keep, I keep thinking, what does that practically look like in my life today?
Mhm.
And, I always I think big. I think I want to do something big and extravagant in
Mhm.
okay, this sound is getting louder and louder. I think I finally figured out what it is. They are
Can't hear it.
clearing the ice
Oh, we can't hear it.
like on the road and in the driveway. Like a neighbor is here with a big old scraper. So it's like scraping. Oh, it's really something.
I'm so sorry.
Glad you're not hearing it. But shoot, what was I saying?
The world being convinced, and
Oh,
that in the
yeah.
last 2 years,
I just
perhaps
wanna
we
do
haven't.
something big. Like, I
Yeah, oh,
want to say,
that's right. Sorry, I missed that.
"Okay, I'm gonna open up my home to people.
Right.
It's cold right now. I'm gonna go downtown Charlotte. I'm gonna
Right.
find cold people, and I'm gonna
Right.
bring them to live in my house."
Right.
Which, I just I that is how I always think, and but even in a marriage or in any relationship, the it's not always the big things that make the biggest difference. Sometimes it's just the tiny little
Mhm.
everyday constantly
Mhm.
doing
Mhm.
things that promote the strength and
Mhm.
health of that
Mhm.
relationship that
Mhm.
create a beautiful relationship. So
Mhm.
these choices don't have to be
Mhm. They don't.
like I said, I don't have to
Right.
maybe God is calling me to turn my home into a homeless shelter, I don't
Mhm.
know, but if if that's not the calling, it doesn't have to be something that big. It can be just my interactions with other people or whatever it happens to be, but really it's about living today, but making the
Yeah.
choice to do
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and not just sitting back and expecting God to do it if I'm praying.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that's good. Expecting God to do it when I'm praying, when it's really up to me to do it.
Yeah.
It's up to me. It's up to me to live out the gospel. It's up to me to be kind to the customer service representative, even though I'm really, really angry.
Right.
That's what happened yesterday.
Oh, really?
It's oh my word. I was very angry and I was trying to be really, really kind because I know it's not her fault. I was so mad. Yeah, a lot of time I think you're right. We want God to make the changes when the changes need to be in us. And we have to choose to make those changes.
Whew. That's a clip right there.
I see that I get personally, I get frustrated with the lack of emotional health in our churches,
Mhm.
in the individuals in our churches, because, well, I prayed about it, so it's better. No. If you have trauma in your background, which we all do, by the way,
Mhm.
you need to work on your trauma.
Yeah.
And you can't just pray trauma away.
Yeah, so we can't just sit here silently. I keep forgetting
Mm,
that
mm,
there are still people just
yes.
listening. I I just for myself personally, going into this new year with, you know, things are always changing. You never know what's
Mhm,
coming
mhm.
and how God leads you in different directions and what have you. But no matter the road, just trying to pray, be in that relationship with him. I don't want people to think that we don't think that that prayer is important.
Oh,
I
goodness.
I
And
it is in that relationship and that prayer and that time with God that he changes our hearts and he gives us strength to move on, and there's all, I mean, it on and on and on and on.
mhm.
But and he
Thank you.
still asks us to do,
Yeah.
make a choice to do something.
And we are
Don't
re
just
we yeah, we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to ourselves, we have a responsibility to our neighbor, we have a responsibility to the gospel.
to him.
We have a responsibility to him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I I can't help but think of, like, a child, that like, where a parent is wanting their child to, say, clean their room or, whatever, and get
Mhm.
some things done, and all the child just wants to do is sit on your lap and cuddle with you, and, that's great, I love you, and I want you to know I love you, but get that room clean. I can just see God sometimes saying to me, "Beth, I love you, and I've really enjoyed spending time with you. Now get up.
Yeah. Right.
Go do what I've called you to do.
Right.
Do it
Right.
fearlessly." When we started this podcast, Kim,
Right.
God was telling you, "I need you to go be bold." And part of that boldness is I need you to talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you hadn't been willing.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's um Tim's sermon this week was on a verse in Revelation 22 where in some of the translations it says something about these are they that have washed their robes, and then
Mm,
in other translations it says these are they that have kept the commandments. And so he was showing that the differences of the words, but one of the in Revelation 7, and I think it's verse 14, it just really all came together. It says these people who have walked through the tribulation, they washed their robes in the blood of the lamb. They've walked through the tribulation. Therefore, they are in the presence of the throne of God and they serve him day and night.
mm.
And it struck me being washed, having your robe washed in the blood of the lamb is a for this reason we serve him day and night.
Mm,
If your robe is washed, you're going to be serving. Yeah. There's going to be something happening. Service is a natural response to the grace of God. It is a natural response. If
mhm.
we're never going to really get it. And if we really get it.
Yeah, that's really, can I read the verse? I think
Yes,
that's really powerful.
it's
So this is
amazing.
verse 14, Revelation 7, verse 14. Um, I answered, "Sir, you know." And
Mm,
he said, "These are they who have come out of great tribulation.
right.
They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb.
Right.
Therefore,
Therefore.
therefore," which it, yeah, I love that word. Anyway,
Mhm.
therefore, they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple.
So let's take this out of the context of the future. Now I realize it's Revelation 22 and there's some sort of linear thinking there. Some. However, when we're thinking about the Eastern mind is not dualistic. It's a both and. So let's just think about living in the great tribulation now. We are in the great tribulation.
Mhm.
Living on planet Earth is a great tribulation.
Yeah.
It's not the time of probation at the end. We've come through the great tribulation. We are living there at the same time as our robes are washed white and clean by the blood of the Lamb. And at the same time, we are before his throne, serving him day and night. Those are happening now.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not something to look. I mean, yes. Yes, it will be future. Yes, we will be before him and we will be saying holy, holy, holy. Yes, and we do it now. We do it now.
So all this whole conversation started
Went
with
all over the world.
him saying, God can't heal your marriage.
You have to do it.
Mhm. It's not that he isn't in the process with you,
Right.
right? I mean,
Right.
we know that he is. I mean, I can't imagine trying to navigate this world
For sure.
without him being right there
For
with me.
sure.
So he navigates it with us, but we can't just lie back
Mhm.
and continue to have conversations with him and continue to read his word. If there is going to be a change that is going to happen in either our relationships or in our
Mhm.
lives or in anywhere there is, or if we are just simply going to really be have robes that are white because of his thing, then we're not going to just be sitting around.
No, it's not
Yeah.
possible. It makes me think of the difference between an intellectual um spiritual experience, an intellectual relationship with God versus an experiential relationship with God.
Right. Yeah.
And we can pray intellectually. We can read scripture intellectually,
Mhm.
or we can pray experientially and we can read scripture experientially. And that is going to make a difference.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, there you have it.
I'm not sure it was what we talked about was choices, though. I mean, yeah, we threw some choice in there, but
I think it is from the standpoint of this that it is we have the choice as to whether or not we're going to get up and do something or we're just going to sit back and keep
right,
praying about it
right,
and saying God is in control.
right,
Therefore, my part in this is just to keep praying and sit
right,
back and wait.
right. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It's not how it works.
no, we're not
It's
his
much more
puppets.
complex. Yeah,
We're not his
exactly.
puppets. We are his children.
And you know what? We're not going to really understand how it all works.
No.
Otherwise, otherwise, he wouldn't be
Yeah.
God. And if we really
Mhm.
understood how it all, then that would make us God. We're not going to
We
understand how it works.
always get to keep learning. That's for
Yeah.
sure. All right. If you completely disagree with us,
Be kind when you respond.
be kind when you respond. No, but I'd love that. I love having dialogue with people. So please don't hesitate to let us know. Or if there's
Yeah.
something, if you appreciate something about what you hear, let us know. We also really like to get your
Yes,
feedback.
we do.
All right. In the last 24 hours, Kim, what is something that's brought you joy, a laughter, or a smile?
Well, anybody who follows me on Instagram will know exactly what it is, and that is my dear hardworking husband who has a sore back is tiling our shower and our master bathroom. This project of renovating our master bathroom has been long. We have been working on it. Well, we moved into the house in September. So mid-September is when we started. And he works full time. I can't do most of the stuff. I can only paint the walls. I really can't do what he can do. And there's been a lot. And he also, while I think he had COVID, I think I had COVID, even though we had negative testing. And then Christmas and then all the things. So him tiling the shower in our bathroom has brought me tremendous joy.
That's awesome.
And it looks so good.
So I don't think this was technically, sorry, are you done? I don't
Yes,
mean
I'm
to
done.
cut you off.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I don't think this has been technically in the last 24 hours, but I just have to share because it was this weekend
Mhm.
that our daughter-in-law made it public to the whole world
Oh, yay.
I'm gonna be a grandmother again. So for those of you that don't know, if you're watching this, that is little Nolan, and he is 2, and
Oh, how neat.
we've known for a little bit, but we haven't been able to, talk about it.
So
So
now
I'm
you can talk
super
about it.
stoked. So
What's her
yeah,
due
that's
date?
August,
August.
mid
Oh, she has to be
mid-August.
oh,
So
she's gonna be pregnant through the whole summer.
yeah, well, Nolan was born the
That's
1st
true.
September, so
That's
she's
true. So it's gonna be similar.
yep. And my
Wow.
other daughter had hers at the end of August, and then I mean, we're just gonna have all the babies at the same time,
Well,
their
there you go.
birthdays. So every year in August and September, the Grissoms may be on tour. It's gonna
Okay.
be called Grandparent Birthday Tour,
There you go. Sounds like fun.
where we just drive around and go say hello. But anyway, that's been my joy,
Oh,
just
yay.
seeing pictures and thinking about it, and, oh, we got little sonogram pictures this weekend,
Oh,
and, oh, so
fun.
exciting.
That's so neat. I'm so
So
glad.
anyway, all right. Well, there you go. We did our very first podcast
Of
on
season
video.
3 and
Of
on video.
season 3.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, like, share, all the things, and, we hope to see you back here in 2 weeks for our next podcast, which we don't even know what it's gonna be yet,
No,
but it'll
we'll
be a
figure it
surprise
out.
for us too.
That's
Anyway, have a good day, and thanks for listening. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We would really love to hear from you. So please find us. We're on Facebook and Instagram. Just search for Joy in the Weeds. You can also email us. Our email address is joy@carolinasda.org. That's joy@carolinasda.org. Now, we hope that today, as you navigate the weeds, you will also hold on to moments of joy. This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.